how many people here were here the last time I was here? A few of you, okay. Some of you might remember that what we attempted to do the last time I was here was try to solve the whole incompetence issue of the world by creating a global movement that we called the Dr. StrangeJob Anti-Incompetent Master Degree Movement. And it basically involved telling incompetents of the world what the 13th step of IA was all about. As a refresher, the 13th step of IA basically says that if you follow the previous 12 steps as best as you could, and you're still incompetent, then you're basically screwed. So your only recourse is to follow the advice of Dr. Wilbur Swain from Kurt Vonnegut, who says, and those of you who remember it, please help me here, why don't you take a flying fuck at a rolling donut? Why don't you take a flying fuck at the moon? My goal last time when we started was to create this global movement that would cure incompetence, from a top-down approach, so that globally it would sort of filter down or trickle down to solve all the issues of the people below it. Much like our current CBRM follows with their economics policy to trickle down. Like their idea, for example, is let's build $1 billion port. And if we build $1 billion port, then eventually some of the economic welfare or well-being will sort of trickle down to the people down below. Now, anybody who was here the last time who remembers we tried to start the global movement, if you ask me now how that went, it didn't go very well at all. It just didn't catch on. And I believe the reason is I took the wrong approach. Instead of going globally, we need to start building locally. So my idea now is to start a new movement that starts locally and feeds and nourishes an issue or the system in such a way that the movement grows healthy, tall, and helps people all above throughout the system. And that's what we're going to do here tonight, I hope, with your help. But in order to make that happen, I need you to think of something for me, to visualize something for me. I want each person here to visualize 2 children that live in CBRM that are the age of 6 years or younger. These could be any 2 kids that are 6 years old or younger. They could be your 2 kids. They could be uncles, aunts, nephews, nieces. They could be 2 kids that you saw running down the street. You said, those 2 kids, they look like they're about 6 years age or younger. So I want you to visualize them. Is everybody in their mind got a vision of 2 children, 6 years age or younger? Say yes, please. Come on. Yes. Okay, thank you. Now, with that vision in mind, here's my point. Tonight, of those 2 children that you have in your mind, one of them is going to go to bed hungry because they live in poverty. And that ain't fucking funny. Okay? So today, what I want to try to do is I want to try to start a new grassroots movement called the Dr. StrangeJob Anti-CBRM Poverty Movement by telling all the politicians, bureaucrats, anybody who could actually do something about the poverty issue and haven't, and give them a message. And our message to them is going to be, if you don't do something about this issue, then I suggest I have a message for you. And that message is, why don't you go take a flying fuck at a rolling donut? Why don't you go take a flying fuck at the moon? So how many people here want to solve or address the poverty issue in CBRM? Okay, so all you have to do is help me right here, right now, by repeating after me to all the people who could be doing something about it that don't, that we want to give them a message, and the message is, if you don't, then why don't you take a flying fuck at a rolling donut? Why don't you take a flying fuck at the moon? It is obvious to me that you people don't give a fuck about hungry children. All right? Now, there is an election coming up in the fall. Now, is that something here? There's an election coming up in the fall, and don't worry, I'm going to be a few minutes short here. It's CBRM. Now, I'm not going to take any political sides at all here. But what I'm going to tell you is that actually, up to yesterday, there was only one person running for mayor. And that person actually had came up with a list of promises that they were going to address if they were to become mayor, that they would prioritize the whole process for the next 4 years. Number 26 on that list was that we will have a summit, will be held this fall or winter to develop an action plan to address poverty in our community. Sorry, number 29. So number 29 of the CBRM action plan is to have a summit, which means, okay, let's get together somewhere, away from the office, cater in the summit, go someplace, a few nights. We're going to do that maybe like this fall, maybe winter, whatever. And we'll shoot the shit, we'll talk about this whole poverty issue. Same group spent $100,000 this summer putting up goddamn baskets of flowers in downtowns, okay? So, if you people really want to do something about poverty, you have to tell people that you want them to do something about poverty. And I need you to start by helping me. Now, there's some really funny people coming up here after me, because I just took a sweet turn here to politics. And I'm sure you want to get to that. But I'm not proud, and I can stay here all goddamn night until you, as a group, help me tell people that poverty is a more important issue. So, let's try it one more time. Why don't you take a flying fuck at a rolling donut? Why don't you take a flying fuck at the moon? Now, what I'm asking you to do is not to vote with your hearts or your minds. Vote with the stomachs of that one kid, or the two kids, that you had visioned in your mind. Okay? And we're going to end with one more call to justice. Why don't you take a flying fuck at a rolling donut? Why don't you take a flying fuck at the moon? Thank you.